Premier Doug Ford says it's fantastic news that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement plans to order armored vehicles from a Brampton-based manufacturer. Reports this week indicate the U.S. government is preparing to purchase 20 Senator armored vehicles for ICE officers, a contract valued at roughly $10 million. Earlier, we spoke with Brian Passafoom with the Toronto Sun to unpack his reporting on the story.
Well, the Rochelle, which is a Brampton-based company that produces armored vehicles, they secured a contract with the federal government, U.S. federal government, to supply 20 armored trucks for the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agency, otherwise known as ICE. Those guys you see on the news who are going around and rounding up illegal immigrants in the States and sending them back home. It's interesting. I think that a lot of media is kind of framing this as like, oh my God, the Canadians are supporting the terrible whatever's going on in the States. But in reality, what kind of struck me is the fact that you've got President Trump, who is doing nothing but talking about America first, getting rid of trade, sourcing as much stuff within the U.S. as possible. But you've got this deal, but this is the fifth deal that the federal government has done with Rochelle since 2024. For example, in August 2024, Rochelle was chosen to fulfill a $6.2 million contract to supply 20 armored vehicles to the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. It's international drug interdiction and things like that, which is a big thing that President Trump's into right now. There was two other contracts with INL, an $82 million contract to supply 200 vehicles. And again, this past March, a $39 million contract to supply 110 more. And as well, in September, there was an $8.2 million contract with the U.S. Department of State to supply 25 Senator EPCs to their Bureau of Diplomatic Security. So it really begs the question, with all this U.S. stuff first, the United States seems to be addicted to buying armored personnel carriers from Brampton, which kind of struck me as unusual.
We also asked Brian to walk us through what these armored vehicles are equipped for.
Yeah, anybody who's seen sort of a tactical or SWAT rollout here in Canada or even in the States recently in person will see a lot of times they have their own little APC. It's like an armored car. It's got bulletproof windows. It's got thick armor. It's got thick wheels. Pretty much it's, designed to resist gunfire or things like that. The ones that they're ordering they're held to a higher standard, the NATO STANAG 2569 armored vehicle standards, level 2, which makes them capable of receiving gunfire from an AK-47 to 30 meters, artillery rounds from 80 meters, and resistance to 6 kilograms of explosives detonated under the vehicle. Far greater than your average municipal police force, obviously, but enough to put them into a state where they might get shot at. These aren't like Bradley fighting vehicles, like large like tanks that carry troops in a battle. This is more sort of a secondary aspect of that. But yeah, these are used to transport men and material into battle, pretty much.
And while the agreement has raised some questions about Canadian companies facilitating ICE deportations in the U.S., this isn't the first time that the company has been put under the microscope for its contracts.
Yeah, the Rochelle kind of entered on a lot of people's radar back in 2023. They were the subject of an investigation into alleged wrongdoing. There was a sole source $92 million contract between them and the federal government. The federal government was going to purchase armored personnel carriers and send them to Ukraine. These allegations of the wrongdoing were actually contained in a lawsuit from a former Rochelle executive alleging legal acts, including bribing Ukrainian officials to influence purchasing decisions. So there was some accusations that some bribery was afoot to ensure that the Canadian government bought Rochelle's APCs to sell to Ukraine at Ukraine's behest. That prompted the Canadian Commercial Corporation, which is the federal crown agency in charge of overseeing that deal, to order a cease production for about a month while the allegations were investigated. Those allegations essentially went nowhere. That was kind of the first time the Rochelle came on a lot of people's radars outside of defense and military and police procurement circles.